In this tutorial, we will be showing you what you need to know about the RIDE token listing on the Maya exchange, how to buy RIDE when it launches, and then we will be talking about the 3 biggest mistakes people make when it comes to buying a new token. Hi guys, my name is Lewis and welcome to this quick overview tutorial before the RIDE token launch. If you are just interested in how you can buy RIDE on the Maya exchange, then feel free to check out our very quick and easy how-to video, which we uploaded last week already and which I will link on the top right here. This video is for all of you who want to prepare themselves for the upcoming RIDE token launch. And while the concept of buying the RIDE token may seem quite straightforward, it still isn't as easy as buying any other cryptocurrency, meaning that the change in price can be so volatile and rapid that especially those of you who are fairly new to crypto might have a frustrating start to their journey with HoloRide. And since we don't want that, this video will first explain how a token listing works, how you can buy RIDE, and then also what you have to watch out for if you are planning to buy RIDE at the launch. So without further ado, here is what you need to know before you buy the new RIDE token. So the first things we will be talking about are the very basics of how the listing process works. As it has been announced on Monday this week, the RIDE token will get listed on the Maya exchange on the 16th of December. You will be able to, at least in the beginning, buy RIDE only via the Maya exchange, which, if you didn't know already, is Elrond's own decentralized exchange running on the Elrond blockchain. This is important to understand, especially if you are new to crypto, since you won't find RIDE on any other exchange. This might change in the future, but since HoloRide is the first project to be introduced on the new Elrond launchpad, the RIDE listing will be happening exclusively on the Maya exchange. Secondly, what you need to understand is that you won't be able to buy RIDE using what is called fiat money, so euro, dollar or pound. RIDE can only be bought on the Maya exchange in exchange for eGold. And if you haven't bought eGold yet, I suggest you do so in advance, since buying eGold using bank transfer rather than a credit card can take up to 2 business days or even more if you're buying on the weekend. So if you want to buy RIDE or indeed any of the tokens that might get listed on the Maya exchange in the future, I suggest you buy eGold prior to the actual day you want to buy the respective token. The eGold price is of course susceptible to sudden price changes, just like any other cryptocurrency. However, buying in advance and being well prepared might just save you some trouble, and that's always a good thing if you ask me. This pretty much sums up what you need to know before you buy the new RIDE token, so let's take a look at how the buying process works, and for that we'll head over to the Maya exchange. And as I've said before, the buying process is a swap, meaning that you will be exchanging one cryptocurrency for another, in this case eGold for RIDE. Now, to show you what a swap looks like and what you might want to watch out for, we'll just go ahead and swap some eGold to Max, simply because the RIDE token has not yet been listed, but the swapping works the same for the RIDE token as it does for Max. So to buy Max for eGold, we'll first select the amount of eGold we want to buy the other token for. And you can see your wallet's balance displayed here to make sure you don't go over the limit. For right now, I want to swap 5 eGold to Max, and then the DEX will automatically calculate the amount of Max I will get for that amount of eGold if the transaction was performed right away. Also, before you ask, I'm on the testnet right now, so if these prices shown in the info box right here seem odd to you, that's because they are, since the testnet doesn't keep up with the real-time prices. For now though, let's select the slippage, which we'll come back to in a minute, and sign the transaction. After that, you'll be asked to confirm the transaction either via your Elrond web wallet or the Maya app. And that's it. It's as simple as that, and believe me when I say that once you've done it and you can see the transaction being processed on the bottom right corner of the screen, you'll feel much more confident swapping the next time, which is why I highly recommend that you test this out on the testnet first. Simply create a test wallet, get some test eGold, and perform 2 or 3 swaps on the testnet. It doesn't cost anything, and it'll help you better understand what you are doing before you use your real money. With our swap processed, I'd like to point out a few more important things which will help you avoid the biggest mistakes that people tend to make when it comes to buying a new token. A crucial thing to keep in mind when it comes to swapping or performing any other action on the Maya exchange is that even though the transaction costs are negligible compared to other blockchains and exchanges, every swap that you perform on the Maya exchange constitutes a transaction, and for each transaction, a network fee must be paid. Again, we are talking about a couple of cents per transaction, but you must make sure to leave some eGold when you're swapping to be able to pay for the transaction fees. So make sure not to select the maximum amount of eGold that you want to buy RIDE for, and keep a small portion of it to cover for the fees. This doesn't have to be a lot, and a good rule of thumb would be to have around $10 worth of eGold left before you buy, but this will make sure that you can afford the processing of the transactions. And then secondly, I would like to address what can happen and what will happen to at least some of you at some point in the future, which is that a transaction might not be going through right away. And since this trips some people off, especially if you don't know why and what to do next, there are basically 2 things to remember here. One is that if a transaction is only partially processed, you might have what is called wrapped eGold in your wallet. This is because part of the swapping process is wrapping the eGold so that it can be swapped. Now, if only the wrapping is done, but the other half of the transaction is not being processed due to some reason, then you will have wrapped eGold, which you can simply unwrap, but this too will constitute a transaction. So yeah, make sure you have enough eGold left for the fees. And 2, the transaction fees also apply for failed transactions. So you see why having some eGold left is important. Now that we have gone over how you can buy RIDE and what you should look out for, let's talk about the 3 biggest mistakes people make when trying to buy a token when it launches. And by that, I mean trying to buy within the first hour or so after RIDE gets listed on the Maya exchange. Since we have discussed the importance of having enough eGold to cover for the fees in much detail up until this point, the second big mistake, and the most frustrating one in my opinion, is that people are missing out on buying a new token when it is still somewhere near its initial listing price, so relatively cheap, because they have selected an insufficient amount of slippage. What I mean by this is the following. Slippage is the percentage you can type in that lets the exchange know which price deviation is okay to you when you're swapping one token for another. Simply put, this is how slippage works. Let's say that the initial price of the token you want to buy is $1. Now, if you want to buy this token, you can define a slippage of, for example, 5%. This means that even if the price of the token increases during the buying process from $1 to $1.05, the exchange knows that this amount of slippage is okay to you. After all, you expect the token to go to $10 soon, so this price increase is small compared to your rewards in the future. In contrast, if the price of the token should increase by more than 5%, the transaction would be automatically broken off and you would keep your money. This scenario is common for tokens which have been on the market for some time. However, when it comes to tokens which are about to get listed on an exchange, the volatility is much higher. Let's say that the token just described is about to be listed with a price of $1. When it gets listed, a lot of people will want to buy the token at its initial listing price of $1. But since the price of the token is dependent on supply and demand, the demand will increase the token's price much faster than if it was listed for a year or so already. So anyone who tries to buy the token at $1 with a slippage of only 5% will most likely fail, since the slippage is too small for the extreme price increase, and since every transaction takes time, you might want to increase your slippage accordingly. To give you a reference, the Max token increased its price by 500% in the first 15 minutes after its listing on the Maya exchange. When it comes to token listings, people tend to assume that the slippage that they usually put in is also enough for buying a new token. And as the past has shown multiple times, increasing the slippage when you're trying to buy right at the start can help your transaction being processed rather than timing out due to a low slippage. Again, this is not to say that you should by any means increase the slippage to an amount that might be uncomfortable for you. Just remember that the demand will be high right at the start, and if you stick to your usual 1, 5, or maybe even 10%, this might not be enough, which brings me to the third mistake, which is weak nerves. Buying a token right at its listing on an exchange can get hectic. It can be stressful, and if you have never done this before, but you really want to buy the new token, make sure that you know exactly what you're doing beforehand. After all, the extreme volatility in crypto is not for everyone, and there's always a risk of losing money if you don't know what you're doing. So if this is the first time for you buying a new token, please make sure to only invest if you are confident and know exactly what's going on. If, on the other hand, you have maybe tried out swapping on the testnet first using your test eGold, and you have watched this video and you have taken my advice to heart, then I will say this. Holoride is a great project with a fantastic team, and with Ride not only being a metaverse but also a motorverse token, which you'll be able to use to purchase in-car entertainment packages by Holoride with and farm it on the Maya exchange, I for one am excited about the Ride token listing and the fact that we are seeing a proper use case being realized on the Elrond blockchain. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you who have subscribed to our channel since our last upload and who have been busy commenting, asking questions, and helping others in the community. You guys are truly amazing, and I am so happy to have you as viewers. If you liked this video and you found it helpful, please share it with anyone who might be interested in the Ride token launch. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to our channel. And if you have any feedback or wishes on what you would like to see next, again, leave us a comment so I can see what I can do for you next. With that said, I wish you all the very best for the Ride token listing, and I will leave you the plan for the token listing in the description box below so that you know exactly what's going to happen and when. Stay tuned and happy staking. Yours truly, Lewis. Bye bye.